Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we turn data and history into insights you can actually use. Today, we're looking at that cup sitting on your desk right now. We're going to trace the fascinating multi-step journey of the coffee bean, from an ancient, almost mythical discovery out in the wild to a highly refined cultural art form. It's a pretty wild ride.
So I want you to pause for a second and really think about this. Where did your morning coffee actually come from? And no, I don't mean the local drive-thru or the grocery store shelf. It's just so easy for us to press a button on a machine without giving a second thought to the incredibly rich, ancient roots of that daily brew. Today, we're bridging the gap between your everyday morning routine and a centuries-old legend.
Well, to find that answer, we literally have to rewind to the very beginning. Get this. Every single coffee bean on Earth, every espresso shot, every single pour-over, shares a genetic cradle. It all traces directly back to the wild, lush highland forests of Kaffa in southwestern Ethiopia. The whole shebang started right there, just growing completely wild.
But, having a plant just growing in the wild is totally different from figuring out how to roast and brew it into the drink we know today. So, how did humanity unlock coffee's secret? Well, it wasn't some team of scientists in a lab. It was a complete, brilliant accident. Let's head way back into the realm of legend to see how this incredible little bean was first encountered.
Okay, picture this. The year is roughly 850 AD. Legend has it that a young goat herder named Kaldi was out tending to his flock when he noticed a slightly unusual problem. His goats were practically throwing a rave. They were just leaping around with absolutely boundless energy. Upon a little investigation, he realized they were snacking on these great red cherries from a wild evergreen bush. That's right, goats actually discovered the caffeine kick long before we did. No way, right?
Now, what's really interesting about this is the dramatic twist of fate that happens next. So, Kaldi brings these berries to some local monks. The monks try them, find them incredibly bitter, and, in a total fit of disappointment, toss them straight into the fire. But, as the heat roasts the seeds inside those discarded cherries, this intoxicating aroma just fills the air. In a matter of seconds, they went from literal trash to an absolute treasure.
And that fragrant smoke, it totally changed the course of history. It inspired those monks to pull the roasted embers out of the fire, crush them up, and steep them in hot water. They quickly realized this wasn't just a tasty accident, it was a powerful tool. This newly invented brew actually became their midnight fuel. It gave them the exact stamina they needed to stay awake through incredibly long, demanding night prayers.
So, we see this massive leap, right? From an accidental discovery by some hyperactive goats and a herder to a practical survival tool for monks. But the evolution definitely didn't stop there. If we fast forward to today, that very same core process of roasting and steeping beans has evolved into a highly sophisticated, deeply respected cultural ritual. That ritual is known as Bunna Tet, the traditional Ethiopian coffee ceremony. And let me tell you, this is worlds away from the fast-paced, on-the-go caffeine fixes we're so used to today. Bunna Tet literally transforms the simple act of making coffee into a revered art form. It's this beautiful social and spiritual cornerstone that truly honors the bean's long lineage.
Let's actually slow down for a second and truly appreciate the artistic nature of this ceremony, because it is a full-on sensory experience. First, the raw green beans are meticulously washed. Then, they're hand-roasted directly over glowing hot coals. And in this really beautiful touch of hospitality, the host will actually waft that fragrant smoke around the room for the guests to inhale. After that, the beans are ground by hand with a mortar and pestle, and finally, the brewing begins. Every single step is manual, intentional, and specifically meant to be shared.
Even the equipment used for brewing is deeply meaningful. The coffee is brewed in a Jebena. This is a traditional black clay pot uniquely designed for this exact purpose. It anchors the whole ceremony visually, drawing this incredibly beautiful connection between the rich, dark tones of the coffee and the literal earth it was grown in.
But wait, the ceremony doesn't just end with a single pour. The culmination of Bunna Tet is this highly structured, escalating experience. Instead of just brewing a single batch and calling it a day, water is added to the grounds to brew the coffee 3 distinct times. This creates a shared experience that evolves with every single cup.
And this brilliantly illustrates the rule of 3 we see in the ceremony. The first serving, called the Abol, is the strongest, most intense extraction. The second serving, the Tona, is naturally milder since the grounds are being reused. And the final cup? That's the baraka, which translates to the blessing.
There's this incredible juxtaposition here. As the physical strength of the caffeine descends, the spiritual and communal significance absolutely ascends, building to this really powerful, peaceful crescendo.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to ponder the next time you're holding a warm mug in your hands. How does your quick, everyday morning coffee routine really compare to the deliberate, ancient art of the Baraka blessing? From energetic goats in the highland forests of Kaffa to a sacred three-part ceremony of hospitality, the history sitting right there in your cup is absolutely remarkable. Thanks for learning with me today. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.